We are all very blessed in many ways. We just sometimes don't look at it that way. I'm blessed. I have this little cabin in the woods, and I go to it whenever I want to get away. It's got about 500 square feet. It's not very big at all. I hadn't gone for a little bit because of Christmas and the Dominican Republic trip, and recently I went there, and I go in, and there's glass all over the floor where the back door is, that one of the panes had been broken into. And I went, oh, okay. Then I looked in the bedroom, and all the blankets from the cabin were on my bed, on top of the bedspread. The pillow had been moved, and it was pretty obvious that somebody had been sleeping there. Then I looked around, and there was no evidence of anything else. It looked like the person came in, went to bed, got up, and went out the same window they came in. And I thought to myself, I hope they got a good night's rest. And then my second thought was, that's really weird that that's the first thought that came to your mind. Because you would think the first thought would be all this upsetness and what's going on and everything else. But God gave me the grace to see things differently. To look at that as an opportunity, okay, I'm glad there was a place this person could go to. And when I told a few friends about it, they're like, well, aren't you mad? Aren't you? No. What am I going to do? Where might God be asking us to see things differently? And we're resisting. Where might God be asking us to act differently? To speak differently? In our relationships, in our family, at work, with people in general? Might God be asking us to see things differently, and we're resisting? You know, January is a month when we thank God for the gift of our lives. What if everybody looked at life differently? What if everybody took the time to try to see with God's eyes? To see things as God wants us to see them. A lot of times we don't want to step back and see things differently. We want things to be a certain way. We want people to act a certain way, to think a certain way, to speak a certain way. And when they don't do things the way we want them to do, the first reading said, anguish has taken wing. Dispelled is darkness, for there is no gloom where there was distress. Maybe we came here today in a little bit of a state of gloom. Maybe it's because of our lives. Maybe it's because of things happening to people we care about. Maybe it's because of things that are happening in our world. Maybe it's because we're not an Eagles fan, since they won last night. But we can choose each day to look at things gloomy or to see things in a positive light. And when someone else comes to us and challenges us to see things differently, do we immediately dismiss them? Or do we stop and say, what if we chose today, when we left this church, to see things differently? To strive to see things as God might be wanting us to see them. What if we strove today to look at our husband or our wife differently? Our son or our daughter, our brother or our sister, our neighbor, someone at work. What if we chose to look at somebody somewhere in the world that we just don't agree with and chose to look at things differently. St. Paul said in the second reading that all of you agree in what you are, and there be no division among you. Wouldn't that be nice? To have no division among us? Probably not realistic. But if I chose to see things differently, then maybe I can see somebody else's point of view. Maybe I can look at things with a different set of eyes. The Psalm said, "The Lord is my light and my salvation." Whew. What if that was true? What if every day we chose to look at things with the light of God? What if every day we chose to look at things as God looks at them? Wonder how we would live each day differently. Then, in the gospel, you know, our first reading in our gospel are readings we hear at the Christmas Eve service. Into the darkness came this light. Maybe we don't want the light. That doesn't make any sense. Maybe we enjoy being in darkness, but that doesn't make any sense. But when I choose to live in the light of the Lord, I live differently. I see things differently. And when I choose to stay in the darkness, I don't have to see things the way God does, and I can keep doing whatever I want to do. When Jesus called his disciples, the Gospels say, "Come after me, and I will make you fishers of men." Jesus asked those men to look at things differently, to see things differently, to trust that he was going to lead them to good places, even though where he led them was difficult places. When we choose to see things differently, it doesn't mean it's always going to be easy. Choosing to see things differently might challenge us. That's okay. You know, when I went into the cabin, and my first thought was, I hope they got a good night's sleep, I saw things differently, and it surprised me that I even thought that. Because I thought I'd be mad and upset and angry. But I just, okay. Where might we be resisting to see things differently? Each week at the 9 o'clock Mass, we dismiss those who are coming into our church at Easter. They've chosen to see things differently. And each week, some of them are here and some are not able to be here. Each week is different for each and every one of us. But when we choose to see things differently, then we put ourselves in God's hands and say, okay, God, take me wherever you want to take me. Lead me wherever you want to lead me. So where might we be resisting? Where might God be asking us to see things differently and we're not? May we take the chance. May we take the chance to see with God's eyes and to allow the light of Christ, to guide us always.